So without further ado, let's get going on this. Should be a very interesting subject, because when you think about it, there's work that we do in the world, and only a small percentage of that work is actually manufacturing. When you think about it, most of the work that we do as working people is probably non-manufacturing, and yet lean really hasn't penetrated into those other types of work very deeply, I would say. And so this is the subject matter that we're going to discuss here is case histories of how we've actually applied it in those kind of environments, and where the opportunities may be outside of manufacturing per se. So let me start with an introduction to our guest, Dr. Adil Dalal. If you don't mind, Adil, I'll read this to you, and I hope it won't be too embarrassing because it's extremely rich here. So here's what I have. I could never remember all of this, but what it says here is we're honored to have with us a truly remarkable guest, Dr. Adil Dalal. Dr. Dalal is not only a globally recognized expert in lean manufacturing and business process optimization, but also a visionary leader. Wow, sounds great. Whose impact has been felt across 5 continents and over 25 industries. With more than 20 years of experience, quite a bit more, right? In transforming organizations, he's led over 350 successful transformations, guiding Fortune 500 companies to achieve unprecedented levels of performance and efficiency. Dr. Dalal's impressive credentials, here we go, include a doctorate in business administration, dual master's degrees in engineering management and mechanical engineering, and a bachelor's degree in automotive engineering. He's also a certified Six Sigma Black Belt, quality manager, project management professional, among other certifications. His expertise has earned him numerous prestigious awards, including ASQ Crosby's Zero Defect Medal, Shingo Research and Publication Award, and the Global Power Award for Leadership, Innovation, and Coaching. In addition to his technical acumen, we're not done yet here, Dr. Dalal is a celebrated author, keynote speaker, and executive coach. His thought leadership has inspired audiences around the world, including delivering keynote addresses to the House of Lords in the UK and the Saudi government. Today, we're fortunate to have him share his deep knowledge and unique insights on how lean methodologies can be applied beyond manufacturing, particularly in office and non-manufacturing environments. So I should also mention too, late breaking news, he's also chair-elect of the lean division of ASQ, starting what, in 2025, I believe, right?
Thank you.
Wonderful. So without further ado, let's welcome
Dr. Richard and Adil met like, what, 35 years ago? That's some really long number of years ago, yeah.
Yeah, we should, in full disclosure, say that Adil and I worked together on a project in the, say, middle 90s. Yeah. With one of his employers back in the earlier days of lean. Yeah. And that's how we got to know each other, and we've maintained contact over the decades.
I was just 15 at that time.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, child labor at the time. Okay, so with that, let's get started. I don't know if we need to introduce ourselves, maybe briefly.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Gerard here, co-principal in our group, and have done quite a bit lean in the office, so we're going to be able to have a really good exchange here. And it's interesting what Richard mentioned. Yeah, we talk about a lot of lean in manufacturing, but it really does apply very well to administrative processes, non-manufacturing processes. So yeah, that's me.
Okay. Yeah, in fact, in the probably, about starting 10 years ago or so, we started working with hospitals. And hospitals are, I think, a good example of non-manufacturing. They especially like to think of themselves as non-manufacturing.
And just to show how different the perception of time is as you age, we actually started working with hospitals 22 years ago.
22? Time flies, I guess.
It was like yesterday. Now it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're done, right? They've absorbed what we taught them fully, and it's fully implemented in hospitals. Not. Okay, so let's start with defining what we're talking about, maybe in a little more detail. Lean in non-manufacturing value streams, I like to say, because I think we're in agreement that when we're talking about applying lean, we still have to have some kind of process that we're trying to improve.
Right.
So if it's something you only do once and you're never going to do it again, that's probably not a great candidate for lean, right? So
Yeah.
that's why the term value stream, I think, was adapted, right? So we're not, it can apply to non-manufacturing or manufacturing kinds of workflows. But why don't we ask you, Adil, to start with that? How would you define lean outside of manufacturing?
Sure. Thank you. First of all, I just want to thank both Richard and Gerard for inviting me to this podcast. As Richard said, we go long back, and it is truly a pleasure to be here. And I'm looking forward to a great exchange. And you guys have a lot of experience too, so let's make it very interactive and fun. So, to answer your first question, what's the difference? The way I look at it, as a process is a process is a process. The only difference is in the manufacturing, you can see things clearly. Here it's hidden. That is the major difference between a manufacturing process, and it's like if you're doing something on the computer, you can't visually see what is going on. Computer is doing some of the work, and as we are digitizing everything, lean in office will get more and more difficult. So, but the fundamental is the process. If you look at everything like a process, then it becomes really easy to understand. So,
okay, let's look at some of the industries that
Sure.
would be good candidates for this. I have a list of some of them. Like we've already mentioned, healthcare or hospital, right? What other ones would you?
So I have applied lean per se in 25 different industries, including medical, pharmaceutical, oil and gas, hospital, bank, kind of data centers, in HR applications, clean room applications, finance, even the forest industries. And not a single one has been where I say even a partial failure. So everything, wherever I've applied it, has been an amazing success. Obviously, there is ranges of success, but it is very critical to understand that the major difference when I do manufacturing versus lean in office is the skill set. The advantages in the office are much higher. You get much higher benefits. People do not realize that, but the skill set required is slightly different. In the lean office, you need a much more experienced facilitator. In a manufacturing, you can see things as a practitioner. I walk through, just like you guys walk through multiple plants, including Toyota and all. You still can see the waste right there. In a lean in office, you need to elicit that information out of the people who are actually doing the work. So that means the soft skills needed as a person who is doing lean in office is much higher. I'll give you an example. I was working in Plano, Texas for a multi-billion-dollar organization. We were doing a value stream map or a swim lane map, as they call it in the office environment, throughout all the executive departments in that organization. In one of the Kaizen, I had a massive swim lane which I was creating, and I had another partner with me, another consultant with me, and I was called to another meeting. I left it to him. I came back after an hour. They had not moved a single step. And this guy was an experienced person. And he could not elicit that information. He was very good with the manufacturing, but when it comes to the lean in office, he froze up. He could not get even one more block on that map for an hour. So what that told me is, oh God, we really need to increase the skill set on this. Otherwise, so process is a process, but the skill set needed to go deeper into that process is slightly different because you are dependent on getting that information from other people. You cannot just see it yourself. So,
Yeah,
but
sense.
again, industry-wise, you can apply it anywhere. Anywhere, believe me, give me any organization, no matter what, we can do that.
We notice that need for flexibility, which is basically the need for flexibility in the facilitator slash consultant when they move from manufacturing to an administrative or non-manufacturing process, and be able to understand what a process is. It's a fancy word for work. Has a beginning, has an end, has a flow, has a value being delivered. And your job is to understand what that value is. What is that unit of value? Is it the patient? Is it the order? Is it the transaction? What is that you're chasing? And make sure that you put your finger on it and extract that information from your team. Is the instrument set, the medication, right?
Exactly.
And we've seen that with people that come in, and we've seen this in hospitals, people that come in with metal chips in the sole of their shoes, and they just refuse to learn this new environment. I'm in a hospital. Well, I'm going to force my manufacturing knowledge on you instead of learning what you have to tell me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is why the word value and value stream map is so important to define upfront, correct? What I've done is I've created a 12-step value stream mapping process, because if you look at the current way people are going into creating a value stream, it is really jumping to a next level without really looking at the fundamentals. So something like a SWOT analysis, something like looking at the defining value, looking at the culture. These are such important things which we miss if you only think of value stream mapping or a swim lane map as just a tool to get from end to end. You're missing the whole point. There is a lot more to do to that. And if you can understand the big picture of what you're doing with it, it changes the game completely. So that is my experience.
For the folks listening, there's a lot of opportunity. And if you're considering implementing in a non-manufacturing environment, in an administrative environment, healthcare, you should definitely move forward with it. And don't think that this is for the selected few. This is not difficult. It can be learned. Yes. And by all means, do give it a try. And do rely on sources of knowledge that Adil here, which, by the way, we do have a question here. Where's this 12-step VSM list found? And of course, we will relay that question back to Adil later.
I will put my contact. Feel free to connect with me. I did this as a program for SME. So, it was like a workshop, and I'll be very happy to share that information. My passion for lean is very high. Lean has given me a lot in my career, and I've seen some amazing changes, not only from the operation point of view and results, but literally changing people's lives. And that is what excites me. As I go through, I've done 350 Kaizen and Kaikaku events. Every week, it's so exhausting to go somewhere, meet a new team, get things done, really long hours, eat pizza and sandwiches and put on extra weight. All those things, what makes it worthwhile, and the flights, back and forth, it's just painful. But what makes it worthwhile is to see the faces of the people on the last day say, wow, did we really do this? And that, if I show you so many case studies, it is just phenomenal what you can see. And I can share one or two with you, which really shows that people.
We would like to hear, a couple of case studies from you. Let me see the field. Richard has a very interesting case study on invoicing, right? And do you want to lead with that one?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah. This was an aerospace company, and they were remanufacturing landing gears. I'll just keep it short and sweet. The landing gears were worth about $250,000 each, and it was taking them about a week to 10 days to get the paperwork together to submit the invoice. So that's 10 days of money that they could be getting sooner, receiving sooner, because of course the customer's not going to pay them until they get billed for it, or until they get the invoice. The clock starts ticking when they get the invoice. So what we wanted to do is take a look at that, and what we discovered was that the invoice needed to go through several hands, several departments actually, and they were just moving that information via intercompany mail. So there was the accounting department, there was customer service, and there was an engineering department. They all needed to review the final product before it could be authorized to be sent, the invoice. So what we said was, hey guys and gals, let's sit together around the same table, because it only takes about half an hour to 45 minutes to do this work. And yet it's taking a week to 10 days, right, to actually get it done. So we said, we're going to do what we call time slicing. So we're going to take some of your time from these 3 different departments and put it together in the same physical location. And we're going to set up a little assembly line of sorts to do this work, but it's not going to be all day. It's going to be till we get whatever's pending in our in-basket, right, and get that done. And as a result, we were able to take that, 1 week to 10 days down to less than a day to get it done, without working any faster, without working any harder, just eliminating the queue time, right, all the dead time between those steps. So that was an eye-opener. It was very easy, actually. It didn't cost them anything, and yet it got that $250,000 per landing gear back into the company that much sooner.
So
yeah,
this is the power of lean. It's the power of
Kaizen event.
Yeah.
For one of my clients a long time ago in the hearing aid industry, we've done more hearing aid factories than I care to remember. Again, the leader in the industry could deliver any hearing aid within 4 days. My client, 11. We walked the factory, and I told our sponsor, listen, Paul, there are not 11 days in this factory. Well, we dug a little deeper and realized that it took him 5 days to process an order. So if we could manufacture a hearing aid in 0 minutes, they were still 1 day behind the competition. So yes, we did start the mixed mold line design in the factory, no problem with that. That was going to be not too difficult to do. And we started a mixed mold line design in the order entry process. Bottom line, by the time we're done, 1.85 total response time for order entry and manufacturing. And they dominated the market. And if you look at the order entry department, we even put a conveyor in the middle. Bottom conveyor, it was the order to be processed. Top conveyor,
moving paper.
Yeah, moving paper. Actually, orders came in, put them in an acro bin, down the bottom conveyor, take it off the bottom conveyor, out to your computer, process it, up to the top conveyor, straight to manufacturing, process it. And of course, there were other things we did for customer service, but it was just, and again, no magic. All we did was to eliminate the wait time, the waste. And all that was done by calculating the right number of resources, balancing the resources, and balancing through manufacturing. So again, this is not, and then we have, lots of cases in which we apply this to healthcare and hospitals. But the key here that I think is important, at least in our experience, like to hear what you think of this, Adil, is we apply this even to engineering departments. The key is it's got to be repetitive work. When you look at highly creative, non-repetitive work, we never waded into that because it is not predictable. I cannot balance that.
Yeah, I have people who are experts in that, job shop kind of this, who really know how to do that. So that is a different skill set. But Gerard and Richard, what you guys were talking about is truly the bottom line of lean is creativity before capital. As you said, both of you said, it didn't cost them anything, but we were able to do something. Having a conveyor, who thinks of a conveyor in a for papers, right? This is the power of when you do a great Kaizen, you are not spending a lot of money, you are making money. You are really, if I could give you an analogy, is going deep into the ground, finding that gold which is hidden, and taking it up and showing the customer, look, you had this right under your feet. You didn't even know this. That is the best analogy we can do as we go through these amazing examples of what we can do. So,
and the other thing that comes to mind in this discussion is that our focus on both my example and yours was on time. It wasn't so much on eliminating waste per se. And I think maybe people go off track with lean in overly focusing on waste and maybe working on things that are not going to benefit the time that it takes to get these processes done. So it's not that waste is not important, but our primary focus has always been time. How long does it take to get through the process?
Yeah.
And eliminating the waste is one of the tools or the ways we do that.
It's a product, flow. The key is flow. Focus on flow.
Yeah. I look for 3 villains in lean. Any factory, there will be 3 villains, correct? Muda, Mura, Muri. If you don't focus on all 3, you are only focusing, you're getting the nuggets, you're not getting the big chunks of gold which you are really looking for. So Muda is the waste, Muri is the stress which it creates on equipment, and Mura is the variation, right? So again, to that effect, all 3, the variation which is the key thing which really throws processes off is the variation, correct? And the stress is the Muri, which is basically stress on people. This is where right now I'm really focused. If you look at the stress levels going up in corporations and amongst leaders, it's just through the roof. And it's creating, when people are stressed, when people are not able to perform at the maximum, processes will suffer. No matter what most efficient process you put in, it is the people which make the difference. That is the key thing, and leaders need to understand that fact. So train your people well. As Richard knows, I'm writing a book on lean AI. So I'm trying to use the AI portion of it to really help the people go to that next level. Because there are some tasks where you are going to miss the thing. There is a lot of poker yoke, but there's only so much you can do for poker yoke. How do we really go deep into it? How do we eliminate some of the repetitive tasks, move it over to AI, and then let the people shine in what they do? So that is my philosophy. It's all about the people side. The humanistic part of lean is so important.
Adil, we just heard you say that you have conducted many Kaizen events. So Kaizen clearly a tool that you have utilized and you teach in administrative or non-manufacturing lean events. Now, moving on with some of the other tools or concepts, how do you emphasize, and if you do emphasize or calculate takt time when it comes to non-manufacturing processes?
Yeah, takt time is very important. You have to look at what the rate of production is for your document. We had a similar thing where the order processing, where we were called in by the CEO to help them because the manager was asking for 2 more people. And when we started doing the Kaizen, we did the takt time. We can also call it the takt rate or the takt time, depending on a process or a single piece flow. And basically, we ended up the week actually saving 2 people, moving them over to a different department. So we were able to show the amount of inefficiencies they had built in, and the manager who was supposed to be doing sales was focused on doing the hands-on work there because he thought he needed 2 more people. Just absolutely the next week, he could go out into the field and do his real job. So again, to me, honestly, every time I do this, it is really I am learning as I am doing. Every time I see these results, I become better believer in lean. That is what is happening is you get transformed. Your mindset goes, wow, this is powerful stuff. This is changing the lives of people. And that is the key thing.
Interesting you mentioned that because, you know, we've been at it for a very long time.
Yeah.
So have you, right? And we're very open with our clients. We tell them, hey, listen, we don't presume to come in knowing everything. As a matter of fact, many times I tell them, the best answer I can give you is, I don't know, but we're going to find out.
Yeah.
And the butterflies in the stomach, that's a sign that, yeah, I'm thinking.
Exactly.
It's actually good.
It's a good feeling to have. It's a very good feeling to have that, you know, I don't go with the sense that I am an expert and I have all the tools. This is what I learned from my previous consultants, correct? Is that do not come in with a cookie cutter approach and try to, you know, they have a square hole, you're putting a round peg and trying to hammer it in. That's what happened to us in our organization. Because I actually kind of by accident got into the lean in office. Okay? I think Richard knows this.
So have we. So have we.
But
it was by accident.
I was working on advanced lean, and I was kind of asked to transform a division, complete division of an organization, which is over $400 million. I had to transform 4 of the business units of a medical company within 8 months. I had no clue how to go about. Obviously, we had consultants. My learning curve was like walking up a steep mountain. And, you know, if you've seen Tom Cruise hanging off the cliff, one of the movies, it was like I had one finger on the cliff. And I was asked to lead. This was a 300-person event where I had to lead this massive transformation. So I have the case studies in my book, the 12 pillars. But the thing which I learned as I went through this, each one got better and better. And one of the person who was part of my team in a previous manufacturing implementation was promoted to lead the document control group. And he came to me, with a power meeting. Please help me. I don't know what to do. We have 17 different document types. The fluctuation is so bad. Our on-time delivery can go from 3 months to all the way to 1.5 years. So we were not satisfying our customers. And our company was growing 20% every year. So we are a very aggressive, amazing company, but document control was a big bottleneck. Everyone could blame any problem on doc control. So the morale was low. People were unhappy. We could not staff it correctly because of the fluctuation. So I talked to my consultants. I said, hey, you guys talk about this advanced lean in the office. Can you come and help me? He said, we just have marketing material. We've never done it before. So I said, okay. And I committed to my friend John that I'm going to take this on. So I started then using the same principles of what I had learned in the manufacturing, and I developed a complete model from product syncs to line design. And what I did was, because of the fluctuations, I could not use just numbers there. I had to basically use simulation. So I used crystal ball simulation to actually do the variations and did a complete line design using that. We set it up, and it was just, from the numbers, we could say with 95% confidence that we would need about 11 people to 15 people within next 2 years. So I could get a very good idea of staffing. We designed the line. Some of the waste was, getting signatures from our managers. We streamlined that. We digitized some of these things. And I'm talking 20 years ago. This is not everything on the cloud and, you could email everyone and get those signatures. This is quite some time back. So we had to be very creative. But from about 80 days of on-time delivery, we went to 1.87 days in 6 months. Okay. The on-time percentage went from 5% to 95% in 6 months. I have actual data on that. Can you imagine? And the beauty is we were under the radar. We had not told anyone that we are working on this because I had this massive DFT project or advanced lean project going on. So I had to do this under the radar. When we did it, the whole organization started seeing something is different about document control. Everything started flowing. I started getting calls and emails from my president, quality, the head of the document control was a quality director, saying, what did you do? When did you do this? What did you do? And it was like kudos from all different places. So John and I kind of celebrate. Obviously, it was a team effort. I cannot take all the credit. So, but it was a total transformation. And this is how I kind of landed in by accident into Lean in Office. And I'm telling you, I'm truly a big believer in what it can do. The way I look at organizations, if you're only doing manufacturing, you are going to a barber shop only getting one side of your face shaved. Gerard, how would that look on Gerard? Probably not good, right? This is manufacturing. This is the office. So you need a complete shave.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, this one client making hearing aids, had we only worked on the manufacturing side, we would have never caught up with the competition. And this was not the first time we found this. So clearly, this is an area where there's still a lot of opportunity. We're not seeing in manufacturing with what we used to see when we worked with you, when Rachel worked with you for the first time back in the 90s, that we used to see a lot of,
low-hanging fruit.
A lot of low-hanging fruit. We don't see too much of that anymore, where we were able to reduce 90%, and we did. 90% lead time. We're not seeing that, but we're seeing a lot of that in administrative processes, in healthcare. There is still that in the office, in the way orders are processed, in the way patients are scheduled at hospitals. We are seeing a lot of this. Now, let me keep moving on here, because again, tatami important, as you said, Kaizen important, as you said. Have you also used the concept and the tools of standardized work in the office? Does that matter, or is it just, it depends. Everybody does it. Should it do it?
What did Ono say? Without standardization, there is no lean. There is no Kaizen without standardization.
That was a softball question, Adil.
I know. He's testing me. He's testing my lean knowledge. No, this is the fundamental thing is you cannot build a house on quicksand. Correct? You start building a house on quicksand, it is going to sink. So what you want is a solid foundation, and your solid foundation is the 5S, is the standard work, and it's applicable. How you apply it is very different, correct? See, I've also been, I've led 2 major agile teams for a bank, okay? You can apply these same principles on the agile side. Agile is very weak right now. The model is extremely weak. It has done a great job for the software industry, but it's missing huge pieces. And this is where we need to start looking at, really, they've taken bits and pieces of lean and thrown it into agile, but they've not understood the core concepts of how to really take some of the powerful tools of waste reduction and other things into agile yet. And that is what I applied when I was there, really put in some of the lean tools, did the quality checks. I created a buddy system, as we do TQC, total quality checks. Those are the ways we can really enhance some of these tools, and people are not thinking in a more creative way. See, for me, lean is, as I said, I have created lean project leadership. I've created holistic lean, iLean. iLean is the human side. I've created lean for teens, lean for kids, These are the things we need to start thinking. To me, when I have to teach an executive about the basics of lean and waste reduction, I feel odd. I said, this guy should know this, or this company should know this. I want to start at the school level. I need to start. This is something every person can apply right from the beginning. Why are we not teaching lean in schools right now? It is the most powerful tool you can have for kids to understand how to really be more efficient. And we're not teaching that. So anyone on the audience, if you are working with schools, if you are interested, consider me a partner on this, because I would love to work with you on that.
When it comes to standardized work, where we found resistance was in healthcare. And it was, for example, with nurses. And we were able to overcome that resistance by explaining that, no, we're not trying to make you act as robots, and that is the concern. You want us all to do the same thing the same way. No. The way we explain it is standardized work is to make the repeatable predictable. So then you have your energies for the unpredictable. Yeah. Because if, for example, if you're going to insert an IV line, the patient is the unpredictable, because the size, the age, the vein, all that is the unpredictable. Yet, we don't want you to go look for the IV kit and say, well, I wonder where it is today. No, it needs to be exactly in the same place, exactly packaged in the way I am going to use it, in the sequence I'm going to use it. That's the predictable. That's the repeatable. Make it predictable. Then inserting the IV, that is the surprising part.
Gerard, this is the key to 5S. 5S, we think, oh, it's just a tool, and when we implement it, to keep it going is very difficult. What it is actually a brain science. 5S is not developed just imagine you have things in place. Even with your eyes closed, you can pick that up, correct? Even with your eyes closed as you're doing something. Now, if everything is jumbled up, your brain does not process it clearly, okay? When there is mess in the front and back, your brain thinks, is jumbled up too. So this is actually to make your brain more efficient and make, you more efficient as a human being. You really need to have things in order, because it simplifies the way you do things. I have a lot of simulation games I've created, which actually proves this concept so clearly that people will never forget this point, that this is a neuroscience. This is not just pure tool, correct? How brain loves, consistency. And it will make you more efficient when you are more consistent. When you're not consistent, you will see that you are not able to do things in a very efficient way. So look at it as making yourself into that next level excellence by simple tools of lean. And that has to be taught early on. That cannot be taught. Obviously, I've taught it at, Fortune 100 organizations, right? All over the world, I have done this. But whenever I do that, I feel a little odd talking about some of the basics to the executives. And they love it, obviously, because I'm looking at it in a different way. They're learning something new. But why don't we teach it at the early age so that we make our lean journey much more efficient, right? We are focusing on something more important when we go into organizations as consultants. And we're helping the organization take to the next level, not just, slowly build up, because if they're already at a higher level, we can just shoot them up to the next higher level.
Just a quick one on that one. I promise it'll be quick. Recently, one of our clients sent a bunch of people to one of our classes at Toyota. We taught mixed mode material flow. And the next time I saw one of the supervisors who attended the class, he said, I started implementing the concepts. I said, well, show me at the line. I said, no, at home. What do you mean at home? Yes. My daughter, her room, how old is she? She's 12. Her room is always a mess. with all her clothing. So we started setting up kits of clothing day by day. So it was fun for her, fun for me, and then she organized all her clothing, and she assembled
Yes.
kits of clothing day by day. I said, dude, that's great. Now go do the same at the line. So again, it's how he got it into his way of living, and now that girl is going to start thinking that way. The same happened with me. I chased my son forever to keep his room clean. Guess what? When he went to college, he was the one organizing 5S events with his friends before the girls showed up.
Plus, he's involved.
He's involved with me today. That's what he does.
In his work, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what he does.
Hey, let's try something, if you don't mind. I'm looking at the clock, and we have about 15 minutes or so. There are some questions in the chat that maybe we can get to at the end. But let's try something that should be fast. I think it should be fun. What I'm going to do here, Adil, is give you some lean tools, methods, and I want you to very quickly classify them as low importance for lean in the office, or medium importance, or high importance, based on your experience. Okay? Think we can do that? So first thought, best thought. Don't think about it too much. Let's try to classify these tools and see which ones are most important for lean in the office, which ones are of lesser importance. Okay?
Rorschach test.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, ready? So Kaizen events.
Very
High.
high.
Right? High. TAC time.
High, I would say medium to high.
Medium. Okay. Waste elimination. In general.
High.
Yeah, high. Value stream mapping.
It's called swim lane mapping.
Okay.
That is high. Never use value stream mapping for lean in office. So,
Okay. Different name, but is it basically
yeah,
the same?
yeah, it's the same. Absolutely high.
All right. Line balancing.
Resource balancing.
Resource balancing. Okay. Standard work. We talked about that already.
Yeah.
Kanban.
Absolutely, you can. Medium. It not every application, but definitely can apply it.
Okay. SMED. Quick
And
changeover.
yes, if you have too much equipment, you could do a quick changeover. I've seen that happen in the office environment.
Okay.
Medium.
5S. 5S.
5S, absolutely high.
Yep. High. FMEA.
I love FMEA. Yes.
Okay.
But FMEA and FTA goes together. One is bottoms up, one is top down. You need to sync those. When you sync those, you get the best results. So,
Flexing.
yeah,
Moving to the work.
medium.
Medium. Okay. Check to check, or TQC verify.
Buddy check. That's what I call a buddy check. So, absolutely, I've implemented it. Again, it will all depend, vary from process, where you're applying it. You can't go in with, I have this toolbox and I'm going to use each and every tool. No, you pick the right tools for the problem, and
Okay.
that's where you'll be successful.
So we could keep going, but I think the bottom line here is that there's good applicability of these lean tools that we use in the factory.
Absolutely.
Possibly in a different way, but certainly in the office.
Be flexible.
Yeah.
That's my message to the folks that are listening that focus primarily in manufacturing, especially if you get hired to do this for hospital. Be flexible. Don't force the tools as you know them. Learn what's your new environment and be flexible. And they do apply. And there is a lot to be a lot to be harvested.
Be flexible and be humble.
Yeah.
Don't think you know everything. Correct?
Absolutely.
Learn from the people as they are doing, because they've been doing it for 30 plus years. Don't
Don't
go
be an
in
expert. Don't be an
and
expert.
to show off there. You just have to first learn what they're doing and then be creative. Come up with solutions which they have not thought about or they are willing to try. Correct?
The person that introduced Zen to the United States, Suzuki Roshi in California, had a saying. In fact, the title of his book, one of his main books, was Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And he said it's always important to have a beginner's mind, because in the mind of an expert, there are very few options.
Very
In
true.
the mind of a beginner,
Very true.
the
Exactly.
world is open. Right?
Yeah.
Many possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And totally agree with you. And yeah.
Okay, So listen, we're getting closer to the end, and I wanted to. So far, it's been
Thought
happy.
we just got started, Richard.
Yeah, we could go on for a long morning, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But so far it's been happy talk. But let me change the tone a little bit and ask you about examples, maybe where the sustainability or the results have not been that good. Because I think we can often learn as much from our maybe not failures, but lesser successes than the great successes. I mean,
Yeah.
We're consultants. We never fail.
Yeah, no, we never fail, but we have
It's always the client. It's always the client.
We always learn.
bigger and less
So,
big successes.
Good question, Richard, because this is where a lot of the companies are failing. And sustainment, I'll give you, I told you about this value stream map, which I was doing at this huge, behemoth of a company. They always talked about, they were literally running governments, police, banks in different countries. And if you see the command center, it would be like what you see in these movies. If you see 24 and other serials where they show this massive command center. So they were controlling things all over the world. When I went and did the consulting of, doing understanding from every aspect, we put in some systems. We also asked them to make a few changes. And I went up to the CEO level, said, this is important, guys. They were bleeding money. And I said, these are the important things you guys are not doing right. Let's put in systems. And they said, yeah, we are going to do this. And let's give us a couple of months. Within those 2 months, they were bought over by another whale of a company. And today they don't exist anymore. They have been eaten up by another. So when you, obviously, we don't have leadership support. When you are not listening to the experts, when you're not putting in these systems, you are going to pay a huge price. Maybe the higher level went with a golden parachute, but the lower guys, a lot of them got laid off. So, if you look at that building, it was like a Taj Mahal, but inside it was hollow. So you need to make sure that it's not just the outside looks of it. Inside, have the right systems, have the right people, have the right processes in place, which can be sustained, right? It's sustainable operational excellence. Don't call it just operational excellence. Call it sustainable. That is the key word. If you cannot do that, OPEX is going to disappear. A new manager comes in, new person comes in, it can dissolve. So
Right.
The key thing is sustainable.
I mean, one of my first lean projects back in the 90s, was with the companies. It was successful. It was very enjoyable, transformation experience. And then I had the chance to come back a few years later to the same line. And not only was it still there, but it was actually better, right, than when I left it. And I asked the plant manager, who was kind of leading this activity, what his secret was, because it doesn't always happen that we do a lean event and then come back several years later and it's still thriving, right? In fact, I would say it would be rare, rare that it's that's the case. And he said, well, there's one secret for why this is continuing to improve, and my secret is I'm still here. He said,
Yes.
I'm still here. So my initial impression was, that's great, except that sounds very risky, right? Because as soon as you go, it's going to fall apart, right? As soon as you leave, it's going to fall apart. Is there another way of approaching this that's more sustainable?
Absolutely. In fact,
right? But just to finish the thought was that when we go to Toyota, then they are following up. But the difference between having one guy keeping it going is that they have an entire organization, right?
Culture.
The entire culture is going to sustain it.
That's the standard answer. It's the culture. It's embedded in the culture.
Yeah.
Embedded in the culture, make the processes part of the culture, and your probability of success will soar.
Yeah. The other approach you can take for this is, I'll give you an example. I was asked to transform a company, one of the largest beverage manufacturing companies in Europe, and they're also in the US, and I was working at both the places. But I had worked in Prague with this company, and they were extremely aggressive. Their bonus structure was such that it would go through the entire organization. If they miss one thing, everyone in the organization misses a big piece of the bonus. What I did was when I went there, throughout that 9 months, I trained about 60 of their key people who I thought were the fit for this role of kind of a lean sensei to that level. I trained 60 of them, and I left. For about 4 months. They were doing things on their own, and I got an email at the end, early next year after I'd completed it, saying we hit everything which we needed to hit in lean. Everyone got our bonus. So I had left something behind within the people. That is the difference between a coach and a sensei. A coach basically gives them only enough tools to keep them successful while they're there, correct? A sensei really takes it to the next level, pours everything, all the tools and techniques they have, because they want the success through others. Their success is when they see that people are successful without them. And that is what I call a legacy-driven life or a legacy-driven leadership. That is what I focus on, is really how do you create that success for that next generation? And they'll always remember you. Who taught? They will always remember that this knowledge came from this person. And, Richard was actually one of my mentors when I was getting started. So that's why our relationship is so great, because I've always respected Richard, and, we've had a great relationship. So whenever you have a mentor who's helped you, always stay in touch, because you never know when you'll need that. Correct? So
you're here.
Great. So time is running short, so let's see if we can go to some questions.
Yep.
Absolutely. Shoot.
It looks like Shane may have to clarify something here. Shane.
Hi, Shane.
I see your question here. You mentioned Lean AI, and maybe you can get to this, Adil. I don't understand the second part of the question. You mentioned Lean AI. Where does something like RPA fit into this as a tool to reduce wait time and repetitive tasks? RPA.
Shane, can you?
Shane, can you clarify RPA?
I didn't want to admit that I didn't.
Oh, robotic process. Is it robotic process automation?
I don't know. Shane, are you still there?
We'll see.
Yeah.
In the meantime, another topic here.
Robotic process.
Yep, robotic process automation.
Absolutely fits in, Shane. This is, this is where it's not only robotics, but in everything you do, when you partner with Lean and AI, you're going to get a huge benefit. I'm actually going to do a workshop in Milwaukee next month on this topic, Lean AI. So this is for the Quality Innovation Conference in Milwaukee next month. So if you have any questions, and I think I know Shane, so feel free to email or ping me on LinkedIn, and we can definitely discuss. But absolutely, robotics will be a huge way you can apply this to your, operations. So,
and could you share, Adil, maybe, that we're not going to ask you to rattle, your entire list of upcoming workshops, but could you share links to your calendar of workshops to the audience so they can
best thing, Gerard, I can do, because there are quite a few I'm participating in. So I will put my LinkedIn profile and my email. Feel free anytime. I would love to be, if you need coaching, you need any questions, you need anything at all, I will be very happy to help you and guide you through your process.
Are you putting that in the chat?
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat. It says
Okay.
invalid URL. Okay, hold on.
If that doesn't work for whatever reason, we'll be following up with an email to everyone who's attending.
Yeah, please put my LinkedIn profile in there. That way, just find me, Dr. Adil Dalal, and you can, so just put in, it says I cannot redirect to attendee. Invalid URL. I don't know why.
Yeah, same with the 12-step VSM that you discussed. And also looks like we have another question from Jacob. Um, and it goes like this: can you share some keys to success for legacy retention in process innovation?
For legacy retention, very good question. Legacy retention is very critical. You do not start everything from fresh. This is where your swim lane map or your value stream map comes into place, where you look at what needs to be changed and what needs to be retained. This has to be done at an executive level, because if you start trying to go everything, throw everything away, you're going to miss out and you'll have to recreate everything. So legacy, unless that legacy has a lot of band-aids on it, be very careful. Correct? Legacy processes or legacy software, usually you try to put band-aid and keep it going. Those are the risky ones. You have to be very careful. At that point, you may say, I want to go fresh, but retaining some of the things is very critical, because that is what will give the continuity to what you're doing. Correct? Just without that foundation, you may be on a shaky ground.
Yeah, I remember back in the early '90s, there was this trend that I thought it was I didn't like it. They call it business process reengineering.
Re-engineering,
They throw
exactly.
everything away
Exactly.
and start from scratch based on what I'm telling you. That was just
Never do that.
that was just horrible.
Never do that.
And Jacob adds, when do you need to start over? Is his question. How do you know what to keep and what to?
That is where a little bit of expertise comes in and a little bit of facilitation comes in. So
Yeah.
a facilitator would be able to guide you through that process of what needs to be retained, because there are a lot of, when you have one system which have too many connections within the organization, to replace that is extremely risky. You can do that. It's like you have a patient on the operating table. You want to remove their heart, you want to replace their brain, you want to replace parts of the body together. Guys, the patient won't survive. Do one at a time. Keep the most important ones, in there, and the others you can start changing, but very carefully. So you need someone. You would need a skilled surgeon to tell you what needs to happen there. So
And you know what, Jacob? When the process is too far gone, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah.
In the example I use, having been born and raised in Argentina, I have been only, I already passed half my life here in the U.S., but raised in Argentina, I remember that having a telephone was a big deal, right? Having a landline was a big deal. So you put an order for your landline. 3 years later, you got it. That is too far gone. Whenever that process is too far gone, whenever cell phones began to happen, who wants to wait for a landline? You just toss that away. That's the new process. When the process is too far gone, that's when you start over. But don't waste the knowledge of the people that you have, because if you come in as the new sheriff in town, presuming that I am the one who knows, I am the consultant, I am the smartest guy in the room, you're gonna lose them, and then it's way too much weight to carry on your shoulders.
totally agree.
Okay, well, I think we've reached the end here.
Indeed.
All right,
And
so-
Scott from Longmont, he just reminded,
Scott, yes.
it's really close. He can probably hear us.
Can you see me, Scott? I'm waving my hand. Okay, well, Adil, this has been great. I think we should do it again sometime.
I think so.
And we really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I hope you did too, participants.
I loved it.
We'll follow up with an email, as I mentioned, with contact information. And I think
I think with that, we're gonna let everybody know that soon in November, our last workshop of the year at Toyota is coming up. We only teach 4 every year, so the last one I am going to be your instructor, and it's going to be mixed model material flow. We only have a chance to teach 4 in partnership with our friends at Toyota Material Handling. We are extremely lucky and fortunate to be able to do that. Last one of the year is coming up soon.
We'll send you that. We'll send you that link.
Yeah, we'll send you that link, and it's getting full. We probably have what, half a dozen seats left,
or less,
left,
or less.
Yeah. So thank you very, very much to everybody. David, muchas gracias por atender para todos nuestros amigos en México y en el resto del mundo. Thank you, everybody.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day ahead. Take care.